we got our first call. I picked up the Skype phone, and the woman on the other end of the phone said, "Where have you been?" You know, and that just meant the world to me. We began a process of being there for people who, you know, are being treated effectively like rubbish.
The social mission versus commercial reality. How do you balance? Yes.
We had an advocacy service, a therapeutic helpline, and an in-home support program, and it was all me.
Wow, yes.
Welcome to Inspiring Working Lives, the Morgan Hunt podcast where we explore public sector leadership journeys. From honest chats about career highs and lows, to lessons and wisdom to inspire the next generation of leaders that will shape our society.
Hello, today's guest on the Morgan Hunt Inspiring Working Lives podcast is Megan Karnes, CEO of HoardingUK. HoardingUK grew into a multi-service organisation, helping thousands of people every year through helplines, advocacy, training, and in-home support. Megan.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to Morgan Hunt today.
Welcome back to Morgan.
Welcome back. Yes, you're a long-standing,
you just said over 20
patron.
years of Morgan Hunt helping me develop my career.
Oh, that is fantastic.
It is.
It's so lovely to see that, and I know you're a firm advocate of us. So,
Very
thank
much
you.
so, I mean that.
Well, Megan, today's a bit different because we're really going to hear about your life story and how you've gone on to run this amazing charity so successfully for so many years. But I want to take you back because originally you're from the States.
I'm from New York in America, yes.
Yes, okay. And childhood, start us off there. How did childhood look in New York?
Well, I think mine was a bit different. My brothers and I had an older brother and I have a younger brother. We're all grew up doing television commercials. So by the time I was 17, I had a pension.
Wow.
Still have a pension, yeah. So we were professional children, which I think when you look at this world in which anybody can have a podcast or have a presence in the media, it was very unusual then to be on television. So it was interesting. It has its real benefits and it had its real challenges as well.
Okay, so was this a commercial business you were running, or were you a
We were
child
on
actor?
television doing commercials, yes. There was a commercial with my name in it.
Right, come on, you've got to tell us more about this.
So I went to a party once and I walked up and everybody looked like they'd seen a ghost. And I said, "What?" And my friend said, the door buzzed and you said it was Megan. And he said, "Not Megan Karnes, who likes ketchup on cottage cheese." And everyone went, that one. It was just a commercial for, if I can say, Hunt's ketchup.
Right.
I don't know why. So basically, yeah. So we did a lot. We worked a lot. It wasn't, it was a job.
Right. So fame of sorts in the United States.
I mean, I don't want to, certainly, not famous, but in a small place, being on television, working with some important people. You did have, you were known to people who didn't know, who I didn't know. So people would know me and I didn't know them.
Okay. And in terms of career aspirations, was acting and television part of your...
Well, I think initially, I think when you do something like that for as long as we did, you think that's the world. So initially I studied at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, which I was not a very, very good actor. And I wound up doing backstage work, so props and stage managing for many years. And then I took a temporary position at a talent agency, which was a very interesting fit because my mother had, at a certain point, taken over the management of us as children. And so I worked in that field, answering phone calls and doing things in relation to her work and her work supporting us. So it was a kind of a natural fit that I wound up on the agency side until I went into production.
Why did you decide to come to the UK?
I always joke that I think, because I always wanted, when I left New York at 25 to drive across country in the US, I wanted to come here. I was desperate to come to London. And I joke that I think it's because of Mary Poppins.
Right.
Now, I think that gets a laugh, but I think you got to think about Mary Poppins. She's a bit of a badass. Sorry.
Yeah.
And she was always kind of something that I aspired to be, strong, and, she was just cool. So it was the perception of London, of course, which is so beautiful in the film. But also I think, Mary is like treated like she's sugar, and she's a lot of spice.
Yes. That's a great summary, yes.
It was, so my first experience, was all of the sort of cinematic beauty of London.
And it is a beautiful city, isn't it? Yeah.
It's my favourite place. We travel a lot, and my hair cutter is Japanese. I'm from America, and he said to me once, "What's your favourite place?" And I just said, "London." And he looked at me, he goes, "Me too."
Really?
It's just the best city. I just love the city. I just do. It's just fabulous.
So, you've come over here. We've got this background in the States of media and television and wonderful things. How did you start working in the UK?
Well, I got here. I came over on a student visa to study computers. This would not be possible at my age at that time now, so I was in my 30s. So I came over on a student visa, and I could only work part-time. And I think one of the amazing things about sort of working for all of my life is that ethic is there. So the first job I was able to get part-time paid me £6 an hour.
Yeah.
And I had no issue with that. I went from 6 to 12, and then I think right around that time I found Morgan Hunt. And once I found Morgan Hunt, I was able to be more free, to sort of, they could get me jobs, administrative roles that were better paying and with more opportunity.
Right, okay. And so were you starting to move into the charity sector at this stage, or?
I just was trying to work.
Yeah.
I really think, that's when I came over, I just needed to work. And once so the student visa, I guess it was during that period that I met my partner. And so then when that whole thing changed, so you're no longer studying and then you want to stay here, sorry for hitting the mic, we were in a long-term partnership, but my partner is a woman, and we had no legal rights except in the UK, which had something called the concession to unmarried partners. So because we've been together for so long, we were able to apply for my leave to remain in a relationship akin to marriage.
Right.
Which we did. And once I got sort of settled, then I started to make choices. But I was, I worked, when I got here, from the day-ish I got here, in any job that would, use my skills. And they're always interesting. I don't think Hollywood's any better than any other work. I think work is interesting if you're interested in it.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so that's great. So the UK attracts you with Mary Poppins Chimney Pot.
Thank you, Julie.
But then it's the legal structure almost that allows you to be committed.
Absolutely, the human rights. We are going in sort of strange ways at the moment in terms of human rights. But it was because of the UK's concession to unmarried partners that I was able to stay.
Yes,
and that's just wonderful.
Right. So when does this whole idea of mental health come into you as a form of work and social mission?
Alongside this history, I have parents, and my mom had a mental disorder called bipolar disorder, and she had a very rapid cycle, so she went high and low, so mania to depression every month. It's very unusual. I think having that lived experience of her struggles, as well as the struggles that result because of her struggles. Now, I never want to talk about her as if she has a mental health issue and that's who she was. She was extraordinary, intelligent, beautiful, funny, and she had a very significant mental health issue. So when I came here, you have to think of 1997. I don't know, I couldn't believe how mental health was being talked about. Now, this is around the time, Tony Blair, it's good to talk starts, like awareness starts to be raised, but I thought to myself, I want to be a part of changing this dialogue, because a person who struggles with mental health is a person. they're not their disorder, you know, and I just wanted to be a part of that. So I got settled. I feel like, what was I doing at the time? I had a consultancy contract, so my background, as a result of all the project development in entertainment, I did work here for Screen South and Film East. I did some of those kinds of things. I wrote a short film that got commissioned by the Film Council. So I was doing that, and then I was doing work, so I was doing organizational development consultancy work. And once I got settled, I took a very, 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 very low-paying job. I think it was 1 day a week for a mental health charity, and that just changed my life, you know.
Right. And how did life change? Was it being exposed to the problem, greater detail?
Yeah, so basically, there were 3 of us, I think, and everyone was part-time, I think it was 4. 3 of the people were volunteers, and there was me. And we were a national charity do you want me to discuss what it was?
Yeah, why not?
So it's a wonderful organization called OCD Action. And they were struggling at the time, you know. OCD is a very common disorder. 1.2% of the population are known to have it, and it was just at the point where it was people were becoming aware of it. So the NICE guidelines were published, and things like media within I think about 3 weeks of my being in post, I had to say selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor in a television interview.
Yes.
Just like, oh, that was hard.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I started to do that work, and in the 5 years or so that I was there, the organization was transformed. I have a very strong background in building things. I do it in my own quirky way. But, you know, if I set a goal, I'm not necessarily able to write the paper about what it's going to look like, but if I say it's going to happen in 2 years, it pretty much happens in 2 years to the day. So at the end of that 5 years, the charity was strong, and we had a massive amount of volunteers, and we had changed offices, and income was good. During that period, because hoarding was then considered a subheading of obsessive compulsive personality disorder, we were getting calls, and you know, what do? We didn't have anything that we could do about this. So a person named Satwant Singh, recognized specialist, was at that point just beginning to look at hoarding. So we set up the first hoarding support group in the UK, in East Ham, local.
Wow. Yes.
40 people would come from all over the country. And when I left there, I guess I just want to always be clear that at that time, OCD was just becoming known. So this idea that a small charity could handle something as complex as hoarding was not on their radar. So it wasn't discriminatory. They just said, hoarding's not really OCD, so we're not going to do anything with it. And when they said, hoarding is not really OCD and we're not going to do anything with it, I felt obligated.
Okay, so let's talk a bit about hoarding then. So I guess most of us kind of first feel of hoarding was that TV programme that came out in the UK.
Is it Mr.
But
that one?
I think the problem with the hoarding thing is it probably made it a quirky entertainment thing rather than probably the serious problem it is.
I try to be balanced about television and hoarding. Basically, until television shows started to cover it, there was absolutely no empathy and no understanding. Now, the charity has never supported a television show and never will, because they, on the other side of the coin, represent a very complex issue in a very tidy up way, as if the outcome that is positive for a person who hoards is a clear room. So we don't support them, but it's really important that they humanized people who hoard for people who don't understand it. So it's a double-edged sword, I think. Most things are. When the BBC asked us to do an information, an awareness-raising video, we did support that, and it's a stunning piece of animation done in collaboration with the BBC, Open University, Kino Bino, who I just love. They're an animation company. And And it is one of the things I'm most proud of in my work for these 20 years. It's just because it's the participant script. It's her script. We didn't write that script. And it shows how a person can be supported to change with hoarding.
Right, yes. Okay. Okay, we'll talk more about hoarding in a bit, but let's go back. What's it like to set a charity up from scratch?
Deep sigh.
Yes.
I never had any intention of setting up a charity.
Right.
I had developed, so what's it like to run a small charity for OCD? I got a lot of skills. I learned a lot of skills. We didn't have money, so I learned how to build websites. I learned how to do things that were not anyway relevant to my life before. So when it was not going to go forward with that charity, who are just an amazing organization, I just felt a moral obligation, I don't know how else to put it, to provide some sort of short-term cover for people who hoard, because people were being evicted, people were losing their children into care, people were being blitzcleaned. I did a small piece of research in about 2009, and 60 interventions, and no outcomes, clearances, I just wanted to do something, always assuming that someone would come along and do it better.
And through this process of setting up this charity, you've obviously hired people down the years, etc., and it's seen as a great starting place for people in the charity sector.
I think so.
Yeah, and how do you do that? What are you looking for in the people you hire, first of all?
It's helpful in our work that people have some understanding of hoarding. So it's not a criteria, but most of the people who come to our organization have a family member, have some connection to hoarding, and I think that helps drive the passion to do things better. They want to learn better, they want to help their whoever it is better, and they want to help us to be a part of doing that organizationally. So there is usually, and that I don't want to, hoarding has such shame. I'm not outing anyone, no one, but it's just usually there is that personal connection. Secondly, we have placement. So we have a placement program. It was one of the first things I did once I moved it from the corner in my lounge room, was start the placement program. I had done that previously, and we work with organizations across London at the moment. I wouldn't mind expanding that. So we have placements, and placements are the first step, in my view, to getting into employment, because you need to build the skills and have the experience to get the job. You're not likely to come out of a university with a degree and be on anyone's list to sort of hire. So I think the placement program is one of the first ways. Secondly, from the placement program we hire.
Yes.
We hire. We use people who have skills and experience that are relevant. Right now, one of my students, I use the word I don't own anyone, but one of my old students is studying clinical supervision, and he's coming in doing his placement with us, and I'm hoping that he will stay. We need his experience in hoarding in that role. He's done the work for us, he's done the therapeutic space and spatial work, so he's an ideal candidate, and that's a good position to be in, and I've not ever been able to hire a supervisor before because they don't have the hoarding experience. It's not just mental health hoarding.
Got it, okay. But through this time the staff members spend with you, you almost encourage them to fly and take to the sky. Yes, exactly. We're back again.
Let's keep them very
Which is empowering for them, isn't it?
Well, I think we should be. I think we should be. So yes, I've had people go from placement to management to Oxford University, from placement to management. So in our organization, it's sort of there's no hierarchical step to management, because people who have worked with us for a long time are already there. I'm not going to hire someone who's been working with me for 2 years in a placement role in a junior role. So people come in as managers. That helps to build their career, their CV, their appointability with other organizations. And I think that's important, that I value them and empower them by recognizing their commitment to our organization.
Yes, that's fantastic. So all part of their journey forward into the world, yes.
This episode is brought to you by Morgan Hunt, a public sector recruitment agency with over 30 years of experience. Whether you're looking for your next role or growing your team, we match purpose-driven people with organizations making a real difference. Visit morganhunt.com to find out how Morgan Hunt inspires working lives.
Okay, so Megan, this world, it seems there's more challenges than ever before. We're up against more than we ever should have been. How do you cope with that? Yes.
Well, I guess, we were just talking about the fact that I think I'm going to talk about young people right now, because I feel that the world that my generation, I'm older than you, has left them is somewhat of a mess. And I feel that in that environmental, economic, political, in that environment, we need to be focusing on empowering young people who have inherited this to make it better, to bring the social change that they want to bring. And that's a huge part of what I would say my mission is in relation to the organization at this time, giving young people opportunity. Not that I'm old. I would hire anyone of any age, so please don't think it's that. But so we're working with Shaw Trust. I don't know if you know Shaw Trust. They have an apprenticeship program. We bring in volunteers. So I really feel like what I want to do is show people it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. But do it. Change it. Invest your time and your life in it. Don't worry about what should be and what other people are doing. If you want to change it, because you can. From my lounge room, we make a big, big difference. And that's all that I care about in the work. I'm not a salaried employee at the moment. I have an acting chair. You know what I mean? I really just care about that social change. And I feel with all the pressures young people have and the cynicism they might have about making that real change happen, that I would want them to know that it is hard, but you can do it. And I want you we need them to do it.
Yes.
Very much.
So that empowerment you talk about, it can see, okay, but it's a massive task, can't it? Have you any advice about how they would break that down at all and just try to...
Well, let's use a hoarding analogy.
Yeah.
So, if we have a significant level of hoard, there are a large number of belongings in a space that are physically representing psychological challenges such as trauma and anxiety. Other people may experience similar trauma and anxiety, and it may manifest in different ways. For this person, it is visually represented in the hoard. So when I first got onto the block, what was happening was going in and moving the boxes out and taking the bags out and clearing the spaces and thinking that was a remedy. I never believed that. My research was on an issue as I did my research as a therapist trainee, and I had to beg to have them let me do it on hoarding, because hoarding was not considered a mental health issue, which I did not believe. So basically, start with one thing. You can clear a hoard, and it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't help the person. So if you're going to start an organization, the first thing I did was put up the one-page website. That's what I did. I put up one page, HoardingUK. I liked the name. I didn't register it because I wasn't interested in... I didn't think I'd be in this position 20 years later. So first the website went up. The second thing I did was, at that time, register a Skype number. So I got a phone number that was not my personal phone, that was a business phone. And within 4 weeks, we got our first call. And it always, and everyone who ever hears me say this knows that this happens every time. I picked up the Skype phone, and the woman on the other end of the phone said, "Where have you been?" And that just meant the world to me. We begin a process of being there for people who, are being treated effectively like rubbish. So step by step, the big dream happens in small moments.
Yes. Yeah. So it is have the big dream, but then we break it down.
Definitely.
So today we do the website, tomorrow we do the
Skype,
phone.
And then people started to need support. Why stop? Why stop there? So 1 day a week to 2 days a week on the helpline, because we got so busy. Always a long-term program. It was never just answering calls. So people always had 20, at that time it was 27 sessions of support. So always a long-term model. But then people were being threatened. I'm from a place that doesn't have social care. We have social workers and that kind of thing, but what we have here, healthcare, social care, housing, we wake up to them every day, and they're just so humbling to me. So when I sort of say that services were dealing with this in a reactive way, it's not to blame them. Housing has a duty to maintain things safely and habitably. So everyone's just reacting. But I thought, well, what happens if I go? And here I am, so that was the beginning of the building of the in-home program, because of course that wasn't going to be one session. I also, after training as a therapist, trained as a mental health advocate. So we had an advocacy service, a therapeutic helpline, and an in-home support program, and it was all me.
Wow, yes.
Because I had all those skills. There we go.
Brilliant, yeah. And I get, when we look at the sort of welfare that supports so many people, what do they misunderstand in terms of hoarding?
I think one of the big misconceptions is that people who hoard don't want help. Because what we do when we go in to help is, so if you have a coping mechanism, whatever, they can be healthy, they can be unhealthy, they can be drinking, they can be eating, they can be spending, they can be exercising, they can be working. I once was on the radio and I said they can be, the CEO of a multinational corporation, and the radio host said, well, that's just his job. And I was like, well, working 24 hours a day, you could look at that on the psychological spectrum.
Yes.
So I just think it's how we look at things. And in this, what people who hoard or we don't go in and take a bottle out of someone who's addicted to alcohol, break it on the ground, sweep it up, put it in a bag and say, that's your addiction, sorted. And yet that's how we've been treating hoarding. And no, people who hoard don't want that. They don't want that. Now, the HoardingUK's message, which I think is complex, is not that we're here to protect the hoard. We are not there to protect a hoard at all. It is unsafe for the person, unsafe for those around them. But that what we will do is help this person to heal the trauma and anxiety that is driving this compulsive behavior. And that's not 12 sessions of anything. It is long-term, multidisciplinary work.
In terms of mental health then, does hoarding actually almost make it easier because there's a visible sign, isn't there? You can tell there's a problem there of some sort.
Right.
Where other forms of mental health...
who are hidden. Well, people who hoard are hidden.
Yes, of course,
So I think, the statistics are 2 to 5% of the population.
Wow.
At 2% of the population, we're almost double the number of people that have OCD as we commonly know it. It is obsessive compulsive spectrum, so it's on a different manifestation of obsessive compulsive behaviors. I think it's why I stopped, Because as much as I had this magical and interesting childhood, I also had developmental trauma. And when I saw Hoard, I saw that. I felt that. I felt that that's what my trauma looked like. We're there for people. We've had people who've been trying to get support for 10 years, and we're still with them. We stay. So, yeah, so it was sort of pulling up my bootstraps and working hard. But I also feel that it was useful to have all that experience under my belt.
Yes.
All the mistakes I'd made. Be willing to make mistakes, kids. That's it. You got to make all those mistakes, get it wrong.
Yeah.
Piss people off, can I say that?
Yes,
do that too. Yeah. So it's just, yeah. So here we are. So I was just saying that I'm hopefully in the next period of time looking to appoint a CEO. That will be my next step. I will go back to the chair. We need to recruit at trustee level. I need trustees. They've been there since day one, but we need to improve the board. So I'm in a doctoral program with no desire to be called doctor at all. Anybody calls me doctor, slept. If I get there. But so I really want to focus on the research, because that's everything that we've just talked about is in that project, and I won't be able to do everything I'm doing now and do that, because remember, I have to work to pay my bills. So.
Yes, yeah. Well, I hope Morgan Hunt can help you out in using our database maybe to reach out to
there
people.
We go. A pitch,
so there you go.
Pitch.
Well,
I will always talk to Morgan Hunt.
This can be pro bono, I think, in view of the wonderful work you're doing.
Well, I won't hold him to that. Erase that. I would love that.
Well, Megan, thank you for sharing your career journey with us. It's a wonderful story, and it sounds very much to me that Mary Poppins is still pulling things out of her magical carpet bag.
She does. She's a wonderful character, a wonderful female lead, and a strong, we got to thank Julie Andrews for so much there. But and should I say Emma Thompson later in Saving Mr. Banks. But basically, yeah. I think she teaches us to be strong, to be funny, and to say goodbye. We're not there to stay.
Right. Okay. But you're finding it hard to say goodbye to to that charity, because you've done such a wonderful thing.
I'll be there until I pass on, I think, but hopefully not in every position that I'm in.
No. Okay.
All right.
It's been a wonderful story. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Morgan Hunt. I've always really genuinely appreciated you and all of your work.
Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you for listening to Inspiring Working Lives, the Morgan Hunt podcast, driving positive change and helping you to grow your career. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next inspiring conversation. For more insights, opportunities, and updates, head to morganhunt.com.